WWF Friday Night Smackdown. I, Mike Lane, with Sarah Shiver and with Wade Barrett. And today on Friday Night Smackdown, we're going to talk about what happened yesterday on Impact or Hit. The prolonged war between Alaska and LP, I guess that's how you say that Hellenish borrow name, and a war with Steven Richards and the right to cleaning, and how they had two handicap matches on Dynamite or Might, Impact or Hit. And do you think it's over? No, I don't believe it's over, Sarah Shiver says. At the end of the day, I truly believe that this is something that is prolonging. Something that if it does have an end, no one truly knows, when it comes to an end or not. Well, Wade Barrett says, I can tell you one thing right now, Mike and Sarah. I don't think this thing is going to come to an end. I think at the end of the day, the only way I believe that this thing comes to an end is when one team no longer can fight back. And as we do know, when the right to cleaning was in WWF, now WWE 20-YL to 20-1YL, they warred with a lot of folks. They warred with Stacy Center, also known as Miss Kitty or the Cat. They warred with Jerry Lawler on his way out, and his first run WWF ended. They warred with China. They also warred with Jesse James and Billy Gunn. They warred with Kay Quick. They also warred with Rikishi fought too, Graham Hesse and Scotty Trupati. They warred with The Rock, The Undertaker, Kane. You named it. They even, they warred with them. But at the end of the day, I believe all those folks out there, end up getting the greater out of them. Because as you do know, they also warred with Farouk and Bradshaw and Taz. And at the end of the day, they ended up falling, and coming undone, on themselves. But who knows how long, who knows when this offshoot's going to end. Well, here comes Steven Richards, the way Barrett says. Well, here comes Steven Richards now, Mike Lane says, or the way that he looked like when he was the head cleaner of the World Wrestling Gathering, now World Wrestling Glee, from 20-YL to 20-1YL. Ladies and lords, I am Steven Richards, and I am the head. I am the cleaner of the Toy Wrestling Gathering. Now, you may have known that in the past I did have the team in the past. I did have Kurgan and Andre with me. I did have the Good Father, that was really called Mustafa's doll. And we did have Ivory with me too. And I did not achieve my goals. In the past, yeah, I may have warred with Kalisto and Mankind, Farouk and Bradshaw and Aries. But now, I am going to war with, now I got some strong women from Scandinavia, or however you say the name of that land that they came from in Hellenish folklore. And I think we have a rest deal. So I'm asking Alaska to come out now, along with Melope, and along with Nobi. Well, it's kind of too late for a rest deal, Alaska says. I am not the first wicker of Nalskava anymore. Nalskava anymore. Gabrielle is. Well, the first thing I want to say is I am deeply, truly sorry for what I've done to you strong women. And I do want to make it up to you. So, here's what I'm thinking. Alaska, Melope, and Nubi, if that's how you say your name. I'm thinking that we do have a rest deal. And since you say Gabrielle is once the first wicker of thou Skyvia once again, well, that's good for her. What kind of rest deal do you want with us? Mal P says. You came to our land. You told us we didn't have any right. You told Diana she couldn't wear the North Lear coat anymore, even after she bought it and it was hers. You told us that we couldn't have our likenesses drawn by small soft half flyer due to some ownership or double right law or whatever. But then later on that same day, it started drawing our likenesses again. You thought we needed to be cleaned. You thought we needed to be helped. You seek to take away our freedoms that God and Jesus gave to us. That's right. And a lot of folks out there are against cleaning when it means taking the right to free speech, the freedom of free speech away, or when it takes the freedom of worship away, or any other sundry freedoms that God has given mankind and womankind. I didn't mean to take away your freedoms. No one can take the freedoms that God and Jesus gave to mankind and womankind away. But I do think that we can go on from this. And we can have a rest deal. A deal between the Queendom of now Skyvia and the right to clean. Well, make it also known, Velasquez says, that Gabrielle wrote a leadership asking that is forbidding the right to clean to ever come back to the Queendom of now Skyvia. So you'll have to work it out with her. You know, in a film later on today. Look, I don't know why you strong women are always against shit. I mean, I think, well, here comes Ric Flair now. Well, woo! First off, don't fall for this. This is a lie. It's a stunt. It's a lark. Stephen Richards, you don't make friends with the strong women. You don't want to make friends with the Queendom of Skyvia. Tell the truth. You want to take their freedoms away from them. You want to clean them. You think that they don't wear clothing. But look, they got clothing on. Their boobies aren't showing. You think that you also somehow thought that Half Flyer didn't have the right to draw any of them due to being owned and double rated by others. But you saw the drawings on Half Flyer. Those drawings are nothing like the way the show players looked like, or the way the sales were on the show or the film or the play. You son of a bitch, Ric Flair. I am not that. I never knew. I truly never. I done a lot of wrongs, but I can be earnest about it. Stephen Richards, today you get to fight not two, but three strong women today. Velasca, Anobi, and Malapi. Hope you have fun. Woo! Well, I can tell you what, Mike Lane said. Ric Flair came out and told them not to believe in anything that he said because he kind of knew that Stephen Richards wasn't being, earnest about this thing. And now the fight woman's in the ring now, who is Varia, and she's a strong woman too. Mike Lane said. Sarah Shiver said, you gotta wonder if she's gonna look the other way in this match or not, like she did yesterday on Impact or Hit. Yeah, Wade Barrett said, is she gonna look the other way and let them do shit because she's a strong woman too? Oh, one more thing. Varia, you need to call it down the middle, even if you are a strong woman. And this is a row match. So first you fight Belasca, then you fight Manapee, then you fight Milby. Well, alright, Wade Barrett said so. So Ric Flair did know about it. And he's going to make it right. Well, this is the first time we have... Oh, shit. This is the first time that we have ever, had a row match in a toy wrestling gathering in a long time. How does a row match work? Mike Lane says. Well, Sarah Shiver said all 3 women will come out in a shift, and if Steven Richards has to beat all 3 of them to get by. But if one of them beats him, they're the winner. This is not fair, Wade Barrett says. He can't wrestle 3 strong women in one night. And now Belasca, the so-called goddess of madness, the former TWF heavyweight fighter, the former 2-time first wicker of now Skyvia, Mike Lane says, is in the ring now with a body slam. Sarah Shiver says Belasca, she's overcome a lot of things in her life. She did have breast growth, but it was taken out of her, and she's doing very well. Oh, don't forget, Mike, don't forget, she's also a Kevin Owens knockoff. She does a sit-up, mic slam, the running feather gun ball, and the stunner. And Steven Richards is in a bind right now, and he's taking all 3 of those holds, Wade Barrett says. Here we go. 1, 2, and a kick out. So far, Steven Richards is still in this game. He's get up. Oh, over a Steven kick. The Steven kick, or do we call that the clean kick? For the so-called cleaner of the rule of the toy wrestling gathering. 1, 2, 3. Belasca is gone. Well, Belasca's out. But that does not mean Steven Richards has won, because he has to go through all 3 of the strong women to win this row match here today on Friday Night Smackdown. Mike Lane says, well, here's Manapee now. Tell me, Mike Lane says, what do you know about Manapee? Well, Sarah says, she is the head of the Queen's Keepers. And she's entrusted, her and the rest of the Queen's Keepers are entrusted to watch over, to keep the Queen in the stronghold well. And she's truly good at what she does as the head of the Queen's Keepers, Sarah Shiver says. Oh, and you behave like you know her, like you went to now Skyvia, or whatever the name of that land is, Wade Barrett says. She was made by Mattel, not McFarlane Toys, sorry. And Steven Richards right now is in a bind right now, Mike Lane said. No need, who made her doll? And Manapee, the former TWF women's heavyweight fighter in her own right as well. She comes in and takes down Steven Richards. She's getting ready now, Mike Lane says. I'll tell you something. She comes from a long row of now skate of Queen's Keepers. Her mother, Megan, who is 72, was the Queen's Keepers, was the Queen of the Queen's Keeper, the head of the Queen Keepers back in the day. And how do you know all that, Michael? How do you know all that stuff? All that bloody things for Wade Barrett says. You're almost making now Scara out to be like the 4-1 Kingdom. And an overkick, Steven Richards says. Yeah, Mike Lane. I guess now Scara does have some yesteryear to their beginnings being like the 4-1 Kingdom. 1, 2, 3. Ding ding. Manapee is gone. But it's not over yet. Because as we said, Steven Richards has to overcome one more woman in this match to win the row match here today on Friday Night Smackdown. Now here is a Menipee, I guess, or a Millipede. Millipede in her first match here in the toy wrestling gathering, and she knocked down Steven Richards. Now, what is that shield there for? Well, she has that shield because she was in the Queen's Keepers in the past, Sarah Shiver says. And that sword is one of the swords. She was the War Wicker for many years. Then she was one of the Queen's Keepers for many years. And at one time, she was the first Wicker in Elscara. And Steven Richards in a bind right now. And now, she's going to come and miss. Oh, she just missed. Steven Richards kneeled and knocked her down with the Steven kick. Steven Richards ain't going to win. But wait a minute. Varia just low-blowed Steven Richards. She's a strong woman too, and Ric Flair told her to call it down the middle. Mike Lane says, oh, that's sad. That is sad. You can't trust a strong woman to even call it down the middle when she's a fight keeper, Wade Barrett says. I guess you can't, Mike Lane says. That's kind of sad. What are they going to do about Varia and her 1, 2, 3? Varia just fast counted them too. Here is your winner of the row match, Menipee, or could say Anobi. Well, it seems that Steven Richards has lost his match here today to the Free Strong women here in the toy wrestling gathering. But the new saga is that Varia, did not choose to call it down the middle, Mike Lane says. Her trust to being a Dalskivian, being a strong woman, she didn't call it down the middle. She low-blowed Steven Richards and helped MLP win the match, Mike Lane says. And I'd like to know, Sarah Shiver said, what is the TWF leadership team going to do? What is the TWF oversight team going to do? What will Astronema or Corone, the four-setter and head leadership wicker of the toy wrestling gathering do? Or that of everybody else? What will the overseer of the wicker of leadership and the main wicker to TWF Ric Flair do? We do not know. I can tell you one thing right now, Wade Barrett says she's on her way out. She's pulling a Danny Davis. She's pulling a Nick Patrick. She's pulling a Mike Colonna. Mike Chioda. Take it away now, Tony Schiavone. Thank you, Mike Lane and Sarah Shiver. I'm going to be talking once again to the fight keeper, Varia, here today on Friday Night Smackdown. Varia, yesterday, some folks saw you lit a low blow go in a match when it was Belasca and Mel P. But now you low-blowed Ric Flair, Steven Richards himself, and fast reckoned the match. Like I say, I'm a strong woman. All right? I stand up for my Dalskivian, burwership. Steven Richards wronged my land. So yes, did I make a call? Did I get angry and do something I shouldn't have done? Yes, I did, Tony. But I will answer for whatever bind is put upon me by the TWF leadership team or TWF oversight team. And at the end of the day, Steven Richards will learn to onlook the strong women and thou scarins. Well, I don't know what's going to happen to you, but this makes me think back to Nick Patrick when he started doing all this shit in WCW. And when Mike Chioda did it in WWF, and when Danny Davis did it in WWF back in the day too. I'm not doing what Danny Davis did. I didn't do what Mike Chioda did. And I'm not doing what Nick Patrick did, alright? I made my call, made my mistake, and I will answer for it. Well, that's my talk with Varia, and hopefully Varia learned something from this and doesn't do it again. Back to you, Mike Lane and Sarah Shiver. Thank you, Tony Schiavone, for talking with Varia here today on Friday Night Smackdown, and that's all the time we've got here. I'm Mike Lane with Sarah Shiver and Wade Barrett. We hope you like Friday Night Smackdown, and we'll see you tomorrow for Collision or Hit.